Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars, the Black Series, 2014, number 2, 6-inch Darth Vader. Here's a look at the box. So ever since Hasbro announced 6-inch Black Series last year, one of the things I wondered was, when are they going to get around to releasing 6-inch Darth Vader? I mean, we knew it had to come eventually, right? I mean, after all, Darth Vader is one of the most recognizable characters from Star Wars, and he's also my personal favorite Star Wars character. So, I was really looking forward to finally getting him, and when they finally announced he'd be coming, I got super excited. But that being said, this particular figure is a bit of a mixed bag for me. He definitely has some strong points going for him that are very good, and there are a few things about him that just aren't all that good. But I'm just giving you a multi-angle look at the figure here. I mean, on first glance, he looks pretty good. I think the biggest thing that the eye gets drawn to is that overflowing cape. It's just too big, and it needs to be taken in and revised a little bit. It's just too baggy for him. But still, the material they used on it, it's really nice. It has a very soft polyester type cloth feel, and I think the material is nice. It's just too baggy and should be revised a bit. Now, although the cape does sort of overwhelm the figure and Vader kind of gets lost in it, the sculpture here is actually pretty good. I do have some nitpicks about it, but all in all, it doesn't look bad at all. Give you a close-up here of Vader's head, and because he is quite blacked out, he's a little bit hard to pick up on camera. The eyes, as you can see, are kind of a little bit of a reddish tone, just like they were in Episode 4, A New Hope. In Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, that wasn't as much the case. In fact, they may have not had any red in them at all by then. In Revenge of the Sith, they didn't have the red either. So, given that, you would think that this would have been an A New Hope-based Vader with the inside of the cape kind of just covering his armor on his shoulders. But they didn't do that. So, I guess it seems that this is supposed to be Vader from Empire Strikes Back more than anything. So I'm not really sure why they gave him the red eyes. But, the sculpt, I think, leaves a little bit to be desired. It looks a little bit off more than anything. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It just looks a little bit off, and I think that's due to the removable helmet nature of the figure. Now, looking at him from the side, he does look quite good. He actually looks pretty excellent from the side. It's just when you look at him from the front, it just looks off. From the back, it's pretty good too. His domed helmet, pretty basic. The rest of the armor, as you can see, he's got the little metal chain, which I really like. I think that looks quite good. It's a little bit big, but, looks pretty good. The shoulder armor, it looks pretty good. Coloring is, quite decent. The little control box right here actually looks really nice. It's sculpted very nicely, painted very nicely. You can see the undersuit right there that he has. Sculpt worked on that, it's really good too. You can definitely see all the little patterns and such on it. It looks really nice. The belt, that looks pretty good. These boxes, to me, they seem a little bit large for some reason. Also the cod piece looks a little bit large to me. It's not horrible, but it just looks a little large. Of course, the wrinkling there in the bodysuit also looks quite good. Boots look really good. I'm pretty pleased with the way those turned out. And you can see on the back where they kind of clasp onto his legs. The hands are sculpted differently. You have one hand that's obviously meant to hold the lightsaber, and then the other hand is in the open position. And, we all know why they did that, because they do that on so many Darth Vader figures, just so you can reenact the Luke, I am your father scene, which I think lends a little bit of credence to the possibility that this is supposed to be based off Empire rather than A New Hope or Return of the Jedi. Like I mentioned, the cape is just too baggy. I mean, look at it. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Way too big. And I mean, it hangs off of him quite nicely, and I think that's due mainly to the material that they use. It's an excellent material. It's just that they just left it way too baggy. But they even gave him these little weight type things you can see there just to kind of hold it down so it doesn't spread out. So that's good. But even so, I still think this is too baggy. the skirt right there, I mean, the skirt underneath it, that's also too baggy, I would say. We just kind of lift up his cape and look at it. It's a little long, a little bit too long, and it's a little bit baggy, but it's not quite as bad as the cape. The cape is just overwhelmingly big on Vader. All right, so I'm going to show you how this removable helmet works. Now, first things first, it's cool that they incorporated a removable helmet on this Vader, but, you know, I don't see why they wouldn't have done a fixed helmet, because first of all, I think a fixed helmet would have been sculpted a little bit better. You know, once you have the two-piece removable helmet, you know, it kind of, I think, hinders its ability to look awesome. If we look at some of the 3 3/4 inch Vader figures, the ones that have the best sculpts are the ones that do not have the removable helmet. And I wish they would have done that here. I mean, that would have given them a chance to go back and do another one with removable helmet and sell more Vaders. But hey, you know, it is what it is. So anyway, you can see here that it doesn't seat all the way down. Right there, it just kind of, it goes down pretty far, but it doesn't go down all the way, especially on the right side. Left side looks pretty good. It's still not all the way down, but you can see it more where it's kind of sticking up there on the right side, and also down here. It's not all the way down. So the way that you take this off is, it's a two-piece helmet, but when you take it off, it just kind of wants to come off in one piece. And the Vader sculpt underneath it, the Anakin Skywalker sculpt, is actually phenomenally done. The detail on that is just really, really good. The eyes, it looks a lot to me like Hayden Christensen, but you know, it also looks like Sebastian Shaw. So, you know, it's a really, really good look, and I'm just really pleased with the way that the sculpt of the face underneath looks. It's just very nicely detailed, and you know, the coloring and paint they used on him, it just looks really good. I think the ears, I don't know if they should be maybe a little bit more burned up, but you know, whatever. It looks really good from all angles for sure. And there's a little bit of detail that looks pretty nice underneath his chin area. So looking at the two-piece helmet, you can see, I mean, initially it looks just like one piece, but it basically snaps off. And there we go. And if you look at that there, I mean, it looks pretty good. I think that it should have more silver paint on there. I mean, we've had 3 3/4 inch Vaders that had more paint on the under portion of the mask there. So, you know, that definitely could be improved upon. And then the dome itself, I mean, it's basically the dome. It looks good. It looks good. I mean, if you want to, you can even do something like like that, which is never seen in the movie, of course, or anything. It just it just looks pretty funny. Or, you know, of course, you can put just that piece on right there. And that's what he looks like wearing that. You can see the back of his burnt up bald head, just like we did in Empire. And, you know, it looks pretty good. In the way of articulation, our Vader here has a very nice ball hinge here at the shoulders. Now, when you have the helmet on, it doesn't quite move this much. You know, it does restrict this amount of movement, but, you know, with it off, it is quite nice. I'll give you a quick look at the back of the helmet there. The cape, you know, is held on with these little clasps that go underneath the armor. And I'm not going to see if I can remove that because, you know, I don't want to ruin the figure or anything. He has the ball hinges here at the shoulders, and you get a pretty good range of movement. I mean, it is hindered here at the shoulder, but, you know, you can at least go up, you know, forward and back pretty good. He has hinges there at the elbows. He has hinges at both of his wrists. He has what seems like a pretty nice ball hinge here at the midsection. It gets a pretty decent range of movement. It goes side to side quite nicely. He does have his ball hinges here at the hips, which, you know, are pretty good. You get a pretty nice range of movement there. Cuts at the thighs, double bends here at the knees, and then rocker joints at the ankles. So he's very nicely articulated. I don't have any qualms at all about the articulation, other than maybe the shoulders are a little bit hindered there. But, I mean, other than that, you know, he's really, really nicely articulated. I think that's one of the best aspects of this guy. For his accessory, Darth Vader comes with a two-piece lightsaber. And, you know, just like what you've seen with other 6-inch Star Wars figures, you basically just pull it out like that. And many of the 3 3/4 inch figures, of course. Now, this hilt, and I know this because I'm very into Star Wars lightsaber hilts. And I also have most all of the Force Effects lightsabers and most of the .45 scale replicas. The hilt right here, even though it is supposed to be based off the Empire Strikes Back hilt, it's not 100% accurate to anything. And the way that you know it's Empire Strikes Back is because there's no silver gap between the midsection and the bottom part of the lightsaber. There should be a silver section in there if this were the A New Hope sculpt. But if you look down here at the bottom, you will see that the on-off switch is off-center, which is indicative of this being the A New Hope lightsaber hilt. Which is not accurate either because of the uniqueness of the Empire hilt that I just mentioned. And so we know that this is not really faithful to either design. It kind of incorporates elements of both A New Hope and Empire for the lightsaber hilt. But I mean, it's pretty good. If anything, I would say that it is a little bit too small. The blade itself, pretty nicely colored red blade. It's not like a bright red or anything. It's more of an orangey red kind of thing. It looks pretty decent. Could have been a little bit more deep red. I think I would have liked it better. But what I mean about it being too small is if you look at it and, put it in his hand here, it is a little bit of a tight fit. We hope the paint doesn't come off. But, look, it just looks a little bit too small. I mean, I think in real life it would be a little bit larger than that, but, it works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars, the Black Series, 2014, number 2, 6-inch Darth Vader figure. All in all, he's good. I like the figure, but he is a mixed bag. He's far from perfect, and I think that rises mainly from two different things. That being the removable helmet. Because it's a two-piece helmet, I think that the engineering prevents it from being 100% faithful of a head sculpt. That could be improved upon with subsequent releases, and hopefully it is, or hopefully they just don't do a removable helmet next time since, they gave us this one. And the other thing is going to be the cape. It's just a little bit too baggy. The material itself is really nice. It's nice that they found a way to weight it down, but even so, it's just a little bit too baggy. But on the plus side, the rest of the sculpt is done very nicely. The head sculpt underneath the helmet is absolutely terrific. The coloring here, very nicely done. Articulation is fantastic. So in those regards, he really is a nice figure. I just wish that they could find a way to improve upon the helmet. Maybe next time if they didn't make it removable and didn't do the red irises to the helmet, made it more of a black, I think it would be a little bit better. But I mean, as it stands, it's a pretty good figure. I just think that in light of the terrific 6-inch figures Hasbro has done so far for Black Series, I think this is probably going to be one of the weaker ones, which is a little bit unfortunate considering the high hopes that I had for Vader. And, again, I think that's mainly due to the overall look of the helmet. It's just not completely faithful to the film, and that's the biggest problem I have with this figure. It just kind of contributes to this figure looking off. So with a few tweaks, this has the potential to be a really, really good figure, and I hope that Hasbro does consider reissuing it in the future, with those tweaks that I mentioned. If they did, I have a feeling this would be one of my favorite Black Series figures. But I mean, as it stands, it's good, it's not great, and it could be better. But I mean, if you're a Star Wars or Darth Vader fan, either way, this is a really cool piece to have in your collection. And, I'm glad that Hasbro did him, even if he's not perfect, because, he's Vader, and, that in and of itself is quite cool. Thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.